All right, folks. This is Rob from Bitch I Ain't Scared, and I've got a story to tell you, and you will be so terrified because it's true. No, I'm kidding. I don't have a story, but I was just setting you guys up for what we are going to talk about today in campfire story style. We're going to tell some scary tales to one another. True stories or just moments in horror that just made our hairs stand up on end. Nate, how are you today?
I'm great.
Great.
I'm here for episode 24.
24. Just adding them up there.
Getting old.
Yeah. So, anything new with you since last week?
I went to Halloween time at Disneyland.
I did see that. I'm super jealous. And
you know, I have friends in high places.
Yeah. Who all went?
Just me and Brandy.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. We were gonna invite a couple of people, but then we're like, no, we're just gonna do it.
If I had known, I would have either given you money or paid you back for an Oogie Boogie popcorn bucket because I want one. Everybody has one. I want one.
We passed a really long line, and Brandy's like, what is that? And I was like, oh, they want that popcorn.
I don't know if it'll be here for next year, so
probably not. I think
that's why I want it.
The item this year, but that line was long.
I don't have access to that place. I would have stood there as long as it took because when was the next time I'm gonna go?
But and I was like, it's really cool, and you can refill it.
It does look cool. I want it.
I don't do lines like that. I will get in a line for a ride. I will do that, but I'm like, limited. And then I gotta carry it?
No, limited time. I would have totally done that.
No thanks.
Well, that's cool. That's fun.
It was great. Yeah, we rode Haunted Mansion, of course. Fast Pass. People,
what day did you go?
Passes, we just went on Thursday.
Oh, okay. Because I believe that weekend was Gay Days.
Yeah, it was.
Okay.
Which I never know when Gay Days is.
It's always the first week of October. Weekend of October.
I'll probably forget.
Oh, no. I always remember. I've gone twice already, and they're so much fun. I love it.
I've never been.
Oh, it's so good. It's
I would like to go, but I
never have money when it comes time for that. Like, summer's over, I done everything, and...
Isn't there, like in September, the beginning of September, isn't it like Gay Day? Well, or is that just October? Is it always October?
They have it in different locations. So, like... Florida is, I believe, in June or something. I could be wrong. I've gone to both.
But you wear red.
Yes, you wear red.
Then I think it is just October.
Yeah, it could be. Yeah,
I don't know, but it was a lot of fun.
Okay, fun. Very cool.
We got like 8 rides in. It's
nice.
Good. We saw the something of color. What is it called?
World of Color.
World of Color. Yeah.
Was that your first time?
I'd never seen World of Color before.
I love World of Color.
I've done the California Adventure a lot, but
yeah.
Just never. I don't usually stick around for the shows.
Oh, I was gonna say the Hocus Pocus show. I'm sure happened too down there.
Mm-mm.
No, it didn't.
They're not doing it at Disneyland.
Oh, okay, it's a Disney World thing.
No, they do it at Disney World.
I heard about what they do. It just sounds so cool. Like they do this spell and then they like raise all the villains up. Mm-hmm. Oh my god, that would have been amazing to see.
I saw a little snippet of a video last year. It does look fun. Yeah. I would watch that, but yeah. Not here.
Whatever. Okay. Well, the only thing that I did lately was I finally got to try... Omari would be proud of me. I finally got to try VR.
Oh.
Yeah. So I played a Batman simulation and I played Resident Evil 7. And both experiences had some scary moments in it. Of course, really? Resident Evil, but there was a Batman scene in the towards the end of the simulation that was really scary. Basically, you have to solve this mini mystery about who killed Robin.
Oh.
And or I shouldn't say Robin, it's Nightwing. And you go through this process of figuring out what's going on, and then you get to this moment where you're stuck in this room, and with the VR it's all first person, so every time you look around there's a part of the screen or the room or wherever you're at you can't see, so when your head returns to that it's different. That's what happened with me. So I would look straight, then I look left, and then I would look back again, and it would be a different image, and it would like creep me out because it's something I didn't expect. But then the room got smaller and tighter. And every time I turned around, it obviously activated something, and the room just kept getting smaller, and things were popping more in my face. And if you just think of all the Batman villains that have scary faces or they're loud, like, it was creepy. And then Resident Evil, I there aren't even no words, but for those of you who follow us on YouTube, there will be a video to prove this terrifying moment.
Really?
When this episode comes out. So just keep a lookout for that. And again, if you aren't on our YouTube page, just look up Fear Bias and subscribe. Trust me, there will be more video content on there coming up and not just podcasts. So you'll get a little treat of me playing VR.
So let me ask, what does it feel like when the walls are closing in? Does it feel real?
Yes, to me it does. Here's the thing. I obviously know my reality. I know where I'm at.
Yeah,
But the thing that you put on your head, you can't see anything outside of you. I have my friend walking around fucking with me the whole time because I can't see where he's going and what he's doing. If he speaks, I know where he is, but I can't see anything. It's just you in the game. That's it. So I'm turning around, and like when you watch the video, you'll see that I'm obviously in it. Like I feel that I can't escape. I'm very tight, with my limbs, and I feel like I'm in a small space, but I'm not going crazy or anything. But it does feel real. I like it.
So it makes me think of this experiment. I don't even know if it's a real experiment. Maybe it's an urban legend. I have no idea. But they would show people a guillotine, and they would like blindfold them and put them in the guillotine.
Yeah.
Or like at least what it feels like they're putting them into the guillotine. And then they would like make the sound of like the guillotine falling, and they would throw like a wet towel or something on the back of their neck. The brain would translate, your head's just been chopped off.
Probably. I mean,
and they would die. So I wonder.
It's kind of like, I mean, what you described was kind of like 4D. They implement touch and smell to, with 3D or whatever. This, I'm just a scaredy cat, put it that way. Because here's the thing with Resident Evil, you don't walk. You sit there and you use the controller to walk like you would any game, except that you are in first person mode the whole time. That's basically it. So if you're trying to run, kill, watch, zombies or whatever come get you, you better make sure that head is looking the right direction, because otherwise you're not going to see shit. So as far as running and everything, I did not have to do it. It was just me playing the game, first person view. Still scary as shit. Still felt real. I was creeping up slow on shit. Like, I don't want stuff jumping out. It was an experiment. I loved it, and I plan to play more. Trust me. I played it more than once, and I get scared every time.
All right. Well, I'm looking forward to the video too. That sounds interesting.
Yeah. Okay. So, should we get to our subject of the day?
Yes.
All right.
Let's do it.
Again, as a reminder, October is our theme is fear, and we wanted to concentrate on a lot of things that scare us. And for this week, I thought it'd be a great idea to involve our listeners, have them, submit their stories of their favorite, scariest moments in horror, or any sort of life experience they've had or somebody else had. So, Nate, why don't you start us off?
Well, the first thing that came to mind were two things that really scared me when I was little. Now, these aren't real, but I recently looked up a picture of this creature, and I haven't seen it in a long time. I haven't watched the movie since I was a teenager. But have you ever seen, I think it's called Caravan of Courage?
No, I've never heard of this.
The Great Ewok Adventure.
Oh, it's an Ewok adventure.
Yes.
Nice.
So it's the first Ewok movie. I think it was like a TV movie in the 80s at some point. There's this monster called a Gorax.
Okay.
And I recently found out, because I thought it was a singular being, there's a bunch of these motherfuckers walking around the planet of Endor, or the moon of Endor. I'm sorry. I'm trying to get my geek shit right for my friend Matt, in case he listens. Gorax. They're fucking... It just really scared me. It scared me. And I found out it's like, I recently read that this is a species and they grow to various heights. And
I'm hoping I'm looking at the right thing. I looked it up.
you probably are. I mean, it's
Yeah.
like hairy with long hair and big pointy ears, like smallish eyes and
I think I'm looking at it. Yeah.
fangs. It's the only thing that's a Gorax. So yeah, and this particular Gorax, and this might be where it all started. The Gorax in the movie lived in a cave, and they're crawling across this ravine, and there seems to be like this rope-like thing. It's not a rope. Clearly, it looks like a giant spider web.
Okay.
And there's giant spiders living in his cave. So that movie really affected me. I liked it, but it fucked me up. And then the other one is the original Clash of the Titans. Medusa was really scary. And that was all like stop motion animation, like Ray Harryhausen. I think that was his last thing he did.
Yeah.
Yeah, Medusa scared me. She was very scary. Like her first appearance, she like crawls out and she's like shooting people with arrows, and every time she turns to them, her eyes like light up. She was scary. These things messed me up as a kid. I'm pretty sure.
I was sure. I knew we were going to hear a spider story at least.
Oh,
at
you're
one
going to hear
point
another
today.
one actually.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just so visceral. It really is. Like lots of. We talked about other things that I think are more important than spiders, but yeah, they really freak me out, man. Fucking Gorax.
Okay. Interesting story. I don't remember the Gorax that well, but that just gives me a reason to watch that movie again if I can get my hands on it.
I mean, for the most part, it's just a little cute movie about Ewoks,
Yeah.
talking gibberish. It really is. And then you
Yeah.
got this moody-ass teenager. Who cares about him? The Gorax is at the beginning and the end of the movie. That's pretty much it.
Okay.
But he's fucking scary. Don't show your kids that shit.
So I'll tell a story that's a little light. We'll save the heavy, scary stuff for later.
Light diet fear.
Yeah, the Diet Coke of fear.
Cute.
No, it was one morning when I, was waking up to go to work for the day. And I usually would have to get up around like 6:30 to get to work by like 8 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And I wake up not by the alarm. I just wake up on my own and I look at the clock, and it was a digital clock. So I saw that it was 8:30, and I'm freaking out because I'm already late. So I'm rushing up, I'm getting up, I like just running racket everywhere, trying to, get ready. And then, I'm halfway through getting ready, and I look at the clock again, and it says, 8:40. And I'm like, oh, my God, I'm going to be so late, and I'm almost got my email ready saying I'm going to be late, and yada, yada, yada. And I look at the clock again, and it says 5:30. And I decided to go and look at a different clock, whether it was on my computer, on my phone, or something. And it said 5:30. And I don't know if it was my mind playing tricks on me, but I looked at the clock twice. And not only did time progress, but it progressed in order as if it was 8:30 the whole time. So I was never late. And I'm running around my apartment as if I'm late. And then all of a sudden, I woke up too early. And the alarm never went off because it wasn't 6:30 yet. It was 5:30. And I'm just sitting there, and I had a roommate at the time. I was like, thank God he cannot hear me just running around like with my head cut off because I'm not even late for anything. But I was like sitting there. I was like, did somebody just play a trick on me, or was it just in my head? I don't know. I never really thought it was like a ghost or anything like that, but it was just a very mind-bending moment for me to look at a clock twice and still see the exact same time when it wasn't even like the right time. I swear to you, this happened.
I believe you.
Yeah.
It's just very. It's It's weird.
I know.
I don't know what to make of that. It's like, were you tired? I don't know.
I don't know what it was, but I'm getting up and I'm running around. Obviously, I'm awake, but I still saw the same time. And then
maybe you started to like cross into a threshold, like you dimensions were like passing by, and you just got caught up in the middle.
But while it's in my head, real quickly, I do have one spider story. Again, it was me waking up again. I just have vivid dreams. I don't know what it is, but I woke up and I was facing the ceiling as I was waking up, and I swear to you, I thought that I saw a spider literally coming down on a web in front of my face, and I just smacked it and just got up, and I'm just like at the edge of the door, and I couldn't see anything because it was like super dark. And then I pulled the blanket and I couldn't see anything. I don't think anything was there. It was just, again, either my dream or whatever, but I'm looking up and I swear I saw something just come dangling down, and it like freaked me out, and I jumped up and yelled, and yeah. So I just have a lot of activities going on when I'm at home.
It's gross.
Yeah.
So when I came out here for my summer internship, I stayed in Pasadena with my aunt, and she was the visual effects supervisor on a Star Wars short film at the time that she was working on with her friends. And so as part of my internship, I got to do a little bit of visual effects. It was fun.
Nice.
And that whole summer, Pasadena was very nice. During the day, you just walk down the street. It's beautiful. But at night, it changed. Because the spiders would build giant webs across the sidewalks. Thick. And I'm tall. So I would walk into them sometimes. And they were just everywhere. They were everywhere. They would build them across the doors.
Yeah.
The front door. You would open the front door, like if you got up really, really early, there would be a web, and the spider would just be right there in the middle, and they were big. I'm not exaggerating. I know people are like, oh, I'm sure it was. No, these were big spiders. You could see them from like 10 feet away. It was really troubling. Just every day. I mean, it's when it's warm, the spiders come out. I remember one day I was walking down the street with my aunt, just walking the dog, and we're talking. It was during the day, and all of a sudden, this giant spider just drops down on a thread in front of my face, like right in front of my face. And I was like, ah! My aunt just laughed her ass off, but it was very unpleasant.
I hate walking into webs, and it's funny because you see this giant area of just air. Like, what can it possibly connect to where I'm walking face first into it? It's like, what is going on? And I know it's there when like it's on my face, but there's just never any evidence of it like actually being there. But you just walked into one. I hate that crap.
Well, the thing that pisses me off is when a 6'2" person walks in front of me, like they're in front of me, and then I get it in the face. They don't say anything. They didn't walk through a spider web, but somehow it goes over their head and hits me right in my face, and I'm like, why? Why did that happen? I don't understand.
That is too funny.
I don't like it.
Okay, so I'm going to read one of the stories that we received.
Okay.
So this one actually came from Rigo.
Yeah,
he gave us a scary movie moment.
Oh.
So it's from the movie The Exorcist. So he writes, one of the scariest scenes in the horror genre, which freaked me out as a kid and still freaks me out as an adult, is the head spin from The Exorcist.
Do you know what she did?
Yeah.
Oh, maybe not that one. Was it the one during the exorcism, actually?
Yeah, probably.
That one was probably worse, yeah.
And then he says, I guess her name was Regan, right?
Reagan.
Yeah, Reagan. So Reagan's face is scary in and of itself, but when her head spins, I lose it. It is just so surreal. It happens so fast. It's so effective at making me feel uneasy and disturbed. I really don't ever want to be possessed. And then he writes LOL.
Rigo.
I don't remember being scared at that scene. I know probably seeing it for the very first time, it's kind of like head trippy, but do you remember getting scared at that particular scene?
I think it was just all very uncomfortable. It's, the voice coming out of her and the things that she's saying.
But see, you chuckle when you say that.
Well, because I remember when I first watched it as a teenager, and I laughed when she put her mom's face in her crotch. I mean, I was an immature. Clearly, I wasn't ready for that.
Yeah.
But, I think, it was mostly just like uncomfortable. I don't know if I got scared. I don't know. I think it's just creepy. It's just very creepy. The stuff before that, like when you see the demon's face flashing, and when she comes down the stairs like a spider.
So I saw when they remastered it and brought it back to theaters. I saw it at the theater, and that spider walk and just the camera focusing dead on her face, and I think she was like,
and blood was
coming from it. Yeah, that was actually pretty deep. I was like, oh, okay,
I wonder why they cut it out originally.
I can't remember.
I don't know. I mean, and it's like a contortionist, but I don't know.
So here's the thing with that movie. The biggest fright that I had was the spirit board moving. When that cursor moved on its own, there was no music, there was no like jump scare, theatrical sound. It was just complete silent, no audio, and then the thing moved. That got me for some reason. Like, I jumped when I was in the theater and I saw that.
I don't even remember the spirit board. That's
oh
funny.
My God. It was so quick and easy, but it was just different from most jump scares that you see. And it just moved. And I was just like, no, that's a little bit too real for me. And I think there was a needle scene that I didn't really like either. When she was at the hospital. I
remember that they put something in her neck. It was
Can't
weird.
do the needles.
Yeah.
Can't do the needles.
Yeah, it was just a very uncomfortable movie through and through.
Yeah.
But it's scary. It's just a different kind. It's not like a jump scare movie.
No.
It's better than that.
Well, speaking of uncomfortable, let me tell you one of my scariest moments in movies. So, I don't know the scene verbatim, but it's from Stir of Echoes. Do you remember that movie?
Yeah, I remember it.
Okay, so I think it was when they finally revealed what happened to the ghost, the girl. Mm-hmm. You got to see, front to back, like what happened to her. And I think when the guy was putting pressure on her body on top of her, she tried to resist. And she used her hands as like, just like a way to push back. And it was so much that her fingernails bit. That
came off. That was so weird.
The moment that I discovered that I have a thing about the fingernail thing. If you fuck around with like toenails and fingernails coming off, I will go insane. And a theater will not stop me from causing a scene. I can't do it because I looked dead into the screen when that happened and I got to see it full force and it really messed me up. I can't deal with it anymore. And every time I see it in a movie, I will go nuts. It's just not something I can deal with. But it's just that whole thing about like horror movies don't create fear. It releases it. Mm-hmm. I never knew I had a fear about that until I saw it. But it's always been there, And can't deal with it. But yeah, the Stir of Echoes had some really good scenes. But that one, I can't handle it when I see that. And I still turn away.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's pretty bad.
Yeah.
So, Brandy, my favorite roommate, she gave me a little story. Now, she's been working for El Capitan for a while, and she used to be an usher there. She wouldn't tell me who, and she probably can't, but an actress was there one night to see a show at the theater. And she came to the management and she said, "Is this place haunted?" And they're like, "Oh, well, we've had people, say things before. Why? What happened?" She said, "Well, because I went into the restroom, and I'm sitting there like doing my thing." She felt someone stroking her hair. And it wasn't like this big, like, scary moment, but I felt like something creep up my back when I read that. I've never had any experiences at El Cap. I've been there a few times, but that's weird.
That is very weird.
So careful, ladies, in the restroom.
Ew. Stroking her hair.
Yep.
Ugh. Gross,
Yeah.
gross. So we had a Instagram confession. Let me pull this up here. What did he say? Okay, so one of the folks who follow us on Instagram, Tarman_Zom_B, he writes, when the creepy fucking rocking horse comes alive in Hello Mary Lou Prom Night 2, still makes my skin crawl. Do you remember this scene?
Nope. I remember the movie, but I don't remember that part.
You can look it up very easy. The woman who obviously is either possessed or has powers or whatever, she's sitting on this rocking chair that's big enough for an adult. And all of a sudden, as she's rocking, the horse starts to come alive, and it's like licking her fingers, and it just looks like this really ugly, scary horse-looking thing. It's so weird, and it's just meant to creep you out. And I can understand why he would be like, kind of feel icky about it.
Is at the beginning of the movie? Or
I don't remember exactly what part.
Is it the blonde girl that's possessed?
I want to say it's right before she goes to prom, because like she heads downstairs and like her parents tried to stop her, and then like she uses her powers and throws her mom out of the door or whatever, but it happened right before that. And it looked kind of like stop motion, I think, just to give you a sort of visual of what the horse looked like, but it was just a really disgusting image.
I don't remember that part at all.
You should look it up. It's really easy to look up, but yeah, he wrote that in and said that was one of his like freakiest moments.
When I first moved to LA, I spent the better part of a year living in a car with my boyfriend, and there was always, a few sketchy moments. But I remember one night I was like startled awake because we would just lay the seats back in the car. We'd find a nice, quiet, dark place to sleep. And I woke up to my boyfriend like, "Hey, what's going on?" Something like that. And I look next to my window, and there's this figure standing there.
No.
And I can't really see the person's face, and they're speaking in Spanish, and like my boyfriend, they're going back and forth, like, ¿estás tu novio? And
is their face in the window?
They're standing right next to my window, yeah. But I can't really see their face.
Okay.
And he's like, my boyfriend's like, "Get the fuck out of here, what are you doing?" And the guy just stands there for a minute staring at us. And then he slowly walks away. And I just felt like, my God, it was like a demonic presence. And I'm not Catholic, but I think my grandma's like Catholicism is always going to be in me. And my boyfriend, we were so tired, and he was like, "God, I'm so tired, I just want to go back to sleep." And I said, "No, we need to go. We need to leave right now." Because I don't know what that was, but even if he's just some regular guy, I don't want him coming back here with his friends and trying to do something to us.
Yeah.
So, tired as we both were, he started the car, we drove away, and we found somewhere else to park that night. But it was like, I can see his figure. I can see the outline of his figure in the window right now.
That probably would have scared me, especially that first glance when you just know somebody's been like, who knows how long he's been standing there. I mean, just like watching you guys, or
it was so
he could have done anything.
I just didn't move, and my window was cracked. That's the thing. Like, it wasn't down far enough for anyone to reach in, but it's like it was cracked because it was I think it was summertime right then. It was hot. So creepy.
When you were telling that story, I immediately thought of this old 90s movie. So this was in 1992. Do you remember The Vagrant?
No.
Oh my goodness. So it's technically a horror comedy, because there are some very funny moments. And I think it's because of the situation that the character's in that makes it a funny like situation.
Yeah.
But there are some scenes and images that are just like never in your life because it's just something nobody wants to deal with. But it stars Bill Paxton, and he buys this house. And for some reason in the house, there is this vagrant that has been squatting in there the whole time, and he can't get rid of him. Like, he just won't go away. And the guy who plays the vagrant is actually the gym coach from Nightmare 2, Marshall Bell. I know, but they've got him in this vagrant makeup, and he's got long hair, dirty clothes, whatever. I don't remember the movie too well, but I remember there was one moment where Bill Paxton goes up to his window in the living room or something, and he opens the curtains, and the guy is literally just standing there, and he has this evil grin, and he just yells when it's like this big reveal, and then Bill Paxton gets so scared, like he backs up and trips over his couch or whatever. I remember liking the movie. I kind of want to see it again after hearing your story, because I bet you it would just be such a fun time to watch that again. But yeah, it just reminds me of that. Just think of somebody who has nothing to lose, nowhere to go, and he just picks a guy to fuck with. Just fuck with. Just mess with the whole time. And it just, but it just reminded me of that.
Never heard of this movie.
You got it.
So funny.
I'm sure there are probably clips on YouTube or something, or even a trailer, but yeah, it's kind of funny. So, I'm going to tell you this Halloween story.
Ooh.
My brother is such a prankster. He would do some of the weirdest, crazy things to invoke any kind of fear into someone. One time, we were driving around in his car, and we went into a random apartment complex, right? Just big enough to just drive through, like some golf course or something. It was just that big. He decides he wants to turn on the Halloween theme and turn it up really loud in his car and just drive through the apartment complex, just playing that song. He can't tell if anybody's being affected by it. All he's doing is just playing it up. And I just had the biggest grin on my face just because I was involved. But it was just, he just does shit like that. So one time I was throwing a Halloween game night at my place or whatever. Mm-hmm. And I had a whole bunch of people from work over. There was about 8 of us. And we're having a good time or whatever. And ever so often I would hear, like, we lived in an apartment complex, by the way, right? We were on the 2nd floor. I started hearing these like scratches at my window.
No.
And I didn't pay it no mind, but because we were all playing games, we were kind of loud, and so I just chalked it up to it being somebody at the party.
Yeah. There
was no music or anything, so we could hear it. Maybe 10 minutes went by, and I heard more scratching, and I didn't know what was going on. And then, like, at least 30 to 40 minutes went by, and the scratching just kept going. And then my dad, he heard the scratching, and he was like, what is this at this window? And as the host, you know, I had to go and see what was going on. Then, finally, there was this bang at the window. Let me tell you, all 8 of my guests literally got up and ran out of the apartment. They were like, nope, I'm not dealing with this. Turns out it was my fucking brother the whole time.
What an asshole.
He parked his car outside of the apartment complex so we would know he was there, and he walked all the way to our apartment, climbed up the balcony, and was scratching for like a good 20-30 minutes just trying to scare us. And then he finally like bang, and he got everyone.
What a dick.
Oh my god, I got scared a little bit, but I mean, I obviously tried to figure out like what it was, but none of my friends was having it. They were like, I'm out of here. And they fell for it. But yeah, and then I walk out, and then I see him pull up with his car, and I was like, you even parked far away, you dick. But yeah, no, it was a really good prank. But he's good at doing shit like that. Like, he'll knock on my door, and then I'll open the door, and he'll be on all fours, and he'll start barking and just charge into the room. I ran at that. That scared the crap out of me when he did that. But yeah, I never fell for that shit again.
So you just made me think of a prank. My friend Brittany, she's not going to listen to this, but I was living with my sister and our friend Brittany in a house. in Indiana after I graduated from college, and one night I was home first, and it was dark. I think it was probably October, because I was just feeling the mood, and I hear somebody coming up the front door. So I know it's Brittany, and she's with my cousins because we were all just hanging out. So I go behind the front door, and there's kind of like, we're still moving in, sort of, so there were like a couple boxes that wouldn't let us open the door all the way.
Yeah.
So there was enough space for me to just hide behind the door. And, she opens the door, and it's like, oh, she's just hitting the boxes. So she's the first one to come through the door. I'm laughing before I even say it. And so after she comes through the door, I can see her, and I just reach my hand out, so it's visible. And I just hear my two cousins scream really loud, and they don't come in. They stay on the porch. And Brittany swings around. She was ready. She had her keys between her fingers and was like, but she didn't hit me, but she was just ready to go.
Geez.
She was so scared, and I just came out the door and I was laughing my ass off. Oh, so evil. I get that from my mom. She used to pull pranks on me.
I was never good at pulling pranks. I'm either too dangerous to where I would actually hurt somebody in order to scare them, or my jokes just suck. I can't meet that middle ground where I can scare somebody. I've got to tackle somebody in order to do it, or I don't know.
So violent.
I'm just not good at it. Yeah, I just think.
They didn't think it was funny, but I thought it was hilarious.
No, that's funny.
I think they could laugh at it now.
So, scary moment from one of our listeners. So this comes from Melly. So he writes, my most terrifying experience with horror films was watching Blair Witch Project.
Ugh.
Alone.
I'm a hater.
In my basement.
Oh, okay.
At midnight.
Okay.
On a Saturday. Yeah, he got very specific.
Very specific. Everybody's out. Everyone's at the club.
Right.
There's no one around.
He didn't tell me the age he was at, but I'm assuming, old enough.
Yeah.
So and definitely feeling for sure that I was going to be snatched from this earth is what he said.
Oh my gosh.
So it was the budding dread of their isolation in the woods, feeling that fear of being hunted and loss seeped into my own brain and limbs. Is how he described it. That was his experience. There are some movies, of course, that invoke fear when you're watching it alone versus with others. I still like the atmosphere of a full theater. When I saw Candyman, it was completely, full theater. It was the fact that everybody else around me was scared that terrified me.
Yeah.
Because I had nobody to cower under because everybody else was scared,
Yeah.
But there is something about watching a movie alone that I think makes you concentrate more to what it is that you're watching, and then you're sort of more embedded into it. That's just me. I just know how to watch movies and get into them. So, I'm fully, involved with it. But sometimes when you watch shit like that alone, but, I'm in a theater, people are laughing towards the end of the movie. And then, of course, once I get to the house, that's when shit gets real, at least for me. And, I started to get, scared throughout it. And there were some moments where I was like, oh my God, is something going to happen, but I can understand how he would get really, affected by watching that movie by himself.
I can understand that.
Yeah. So that's that's one story. Oh. And then here, let me read this other one. So this comes from Sean. He says that my parents' house is haunted.
Oh, God.
Lots of things happened to me there. I thought, so he said this story would be fitting for a scary moment and a ghost story. He says while he was watching Candyman at their house at midnight in his late teens, this is what he said. I got to the best scene, the parking lot garage scene where he introduces himself, which gives me the chills every time. As he slowly walked towards Helen, a plastic bag on the counter, this is in his house, started moving behind me, as if hands were searching through it. I got up to check the bag. It stopped moving as I walked towards it. Upon realizing there were no bugs or creatures or anything near the bag to cause it to move, he broke out into a cold sweat, turned off the TV, and all but ran to his room, locked the door, and sat there with the lights on. He's mad that it waited about 45 minutes through this movie to do some scare to him. And then he made this joke. He says, should have made that bitch some popcorn. And he said, bitch, really?
I mean, it probably just wanted a snack.
I unfortunately don't have any sort of ghost stories that happened to me in my life. I don't really have any weird tales of things like creeping up on me. But here's what I'll say for the sake of our episode. I have a thing about doors being open. I know that people feel a little bit more safe when the door is cracked and light is shining in or whatever the case may be. I need every door completely shut. Because if I can look into the crevice of a door, that means something can look at me. And that's all that's in my head right now. Yeah, exactly. I don't like that feeling.
I'm looking straight ahead at this cracked open door, Rob. Better not be anybody in that bathroom.
But that's the thing. You don't know what's in there because it's dark enough. But whatever you see in there can see you from the other. And that's what I think is somebody's in there looking at me through the cracks of those doors. I can't do it. That creeps me out. So that's one of the fears that I have. And I grew up with a television being played in the background, so it helps me sleep better. But I think I'm just adjusted to that so much that if I'm just left with my own thoughts in the dark, like it's just not gonna work. It's gonna take me forever to go to sleep. I'm just gonna be thinking about shit like that. But doors need to be shut. So that's one of my fears.
I think for the longest time, when my sister and I were kids, we were across the hall from each other on the second floor. And there's a bathroom in between us, so that light would just stay on all night, and we would keep our doors cracked. So the light was coming in versus like what I see right now is darkness in the cracked door. So that's okay. But yes, if I'm in my room and it's dark in the hallway, I don't want my door to be cracked. I either want it to be like wide open or shut.
Yeah.
But I don't want it to be cracked because it's like, is somebody out there? What are you doing? But then it got to a point where it's like, yeah, I just like to be in pitch black darkness when I'm sleeping.
Yeah.
I don't really like a lot of light. Like a little bit's okay, but I like it to be dark.
Okay.
And I like there to be some kind of noise. Otherwise, I can't sleep because I can hear things, and it just makes me think. Even though it's like a regular ass noise, I'm like, what is that?
Yeah.
What's going on downstairs?
I know. Yeah, I can't deal with that.
Yeah. Cockroaches skittering across the floor or something.
So I have one more scary movie moment that I would like to share. So this is a movie that I had planned on bringing up on a different episode. So I won't talk too much about it. But it's from this movie called Frozen, and it's not the Disney movie. It's a horror thriller, I guess you can call it, involving three people who get stuck on a skyline.
We've talked about this before.
Have we talked about this?
Mm-hmm. In like the first or second episode.
I wonder if I've talked about this moment. I probably have.
I don't know.
I maybe have. Well, I'm going to tell it again because it's just that fucked up and scary for me.
The only reason I knew is because you said the same thing last time. I'm not talking about the Disney musical.
Yeah. Oh, like, okay.
This sounds familiar.
Well, it's not a line. Okay. So it's just one of those moments where it wasn't a jump scare, but it was like a moment where I felt that I was there experiencing the scene with him, and I just had to cover my eyes. Like it just was. So did I tell you this story? Okay. So for folks who didn't listen to our previous episodes, when, we were still getting our shit together, there was a moment in the movie where a guy is laying out on the snow, and he is surrounded by a pack of wolves. And I won't give away the specifics because the moments prior to that is some of the most gross shit that I just couldn't handle it. But anyways, he had nowhere to go. He was stuck. He couldn't move, and he was surrounded by all these wolves. It was just a matter of time before one of these wolves made a move, and then the rest of them would follow. So it was pretty much his demise. What brought me to like a very like terrified moment was just the moment of giving up. Like, he knew what was about to happen, and he felt that this is where I'm gonna die. And the only thing that he could do to just make it a little bit easier on himself was cover his eyes. He couldn't move. He couldn't run away. He took his beanie hat and just covered his face. And it was pretty much the last thing he ever did until it happened. Something about that moment just really got to me because I just can't imagine the fear that must have been going on in his head to where he just could not see what was about to happen to him. And then you can just hear the tearing and the growling and the bite. Like, it was a scene. And again, this is like, they don't even give you a minute to breathe after what happened to him prior to those wolves coming at him. It was so messed up. And I like kept screaming, and I had to pause the movie and step away. Like, that scene just really got to me. Did you ever see this movie?
I did.
That I just can't do it. But yeah, that's one of the biggest scenes that like really, really got to me. And if you guys have not seen this movie, please look it up. I think it's a really good one. Did you like it?
Yeah, I liked it.
Yeah.
It was terrible.
Yeah.
So I think I might have told this story, and I might have even told it in the same episode that you just told that story. But this is my one experience with a ghost. My sister and one of her friends and I were in my grandmother's basement. It was not a furnished basement, just a regular old basement. And there were two wooden beams. And we heard a noise, and we looked, and we saw something walk past the beam, the first beam, and then it was gone. It didn't walk past the second beam.
Okay.
And then we all three screamed, and we ran up the stairs. We ran up the stairs, and we told our grandmother. And at the time, one of our cousins, our older cousins, was living in the house. He was like a teenager, and we were in elementary school. But my grandma's house is old and creaky. There was no way that he could have just gotten up the stairs without making noise. And we were on the stairs. We would have been right behind him. And there's no way that he could have gotten up to the second story where his bedroom was without our grandmother hearing all that commotion.
Yeah.
So I don't know what happened. But yeah.
Do you remember what the figure looked like?
I mean, it looked like a boy, which is why we thought, oh, it must have been Kevin. But no, I mean, it was just a person just walked past the beams. I wonder if it was Kevin somehow. And now he's gonna hear this and be like, yeah,
It was me the whole time.
but it's like we just don't know how he did that, like where he was hiding, because there was nowhere to really hide, and how he got down the stairs so quietly. No, no. It's never made sense.
Gross.
Another thing, if you come across a Ouija board, you should probably just not touch it. Don't do it. When I was 13, I crashed one of my sister's sleepovers, and I had gotten a Ouija board, and it was like you got it from fucking Toys R Us. So
I got mine from Toys R Us.
It's a toy. It's not real, but you shouldn't ask certain questions. I'll say that. If you really insist on doing this, do not ask questions about death, afterlife. Don't ask questions about ghosts. Don't ask questions about loved ones. Don't ask questions with any real consequence. we were asking like basic ass shit at first, and you know, it's like it's just moving to like nonsensical shit. My sister asked at one point, how old will our great grandmother be when she passes away? And it could have just been a little coincidence, but it moved over 89.
Okay.
And 2 years later, our grandmother passed away.
You're kidding.
No. And she was 89 years old. Don't do it. Just don't do it. Because
So-
I think it opens something up.
So from what you remember, you did not move the pointer.
I didn't move the pointer.
You didn't
I
move
mean,
the
there
pointer.
was like 8 people's hands on it. So,
Okay.
You know. Could have just been whatever. But
So you always wonder, was it the Ouija board that made it 89, or was it predicting the future? Because, I mean, even like psychics or mediums, like they always get like this, oh, you're a freak and blah, 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 and it's because of you and yada, yada, and it's because you're being foretold something that hasn't happened yet. So it's like, oh, the moment this medium says it's going to happen, then they've created that future for them instead of just saying what's already supposed to happen. Which way would you say is, I mean, if you believe in any of that kind of stuff, but
well, at least in this instance, it you know, I think that that's sort of an evil thing to tell someone that your great grandmother's going to pass away at a certain age. Nothing's really written in stone.
yeah, I agree.
So I don't think it's like predicting the future. I think that was like something else, just being malicious.
Yeah. It's the only thing that I heard once that involved like a Ouija board was a friend of a friend of a friend. So, it's like, obviously more degrees out, but like friends got together, used a Ouija board, and I think like the next day, like their garage blew up. That's pretty much the only thing I know about the story. I don't know if it has anything to do with the board, but that's pretty much the only Ouija story I've ever heard that happened. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I've just like, I remember my grandmother saying, you can pay me to keep one of those in my house.
yeah,
One fun story, when my grandmother was a little girl and she had just moved to Indiana, I think from Texas, and she was running around with her brothers and sisters, and for some reason her parents had this schoolhouse, like one of those old red brick schoolhouses with a bell upstairs. They were running around the schoolhouse and they were playing hide and seek, and they were looking for one of their brothers. I don't remember which one, but a few of them went upstairs and they were looking, around the bell tower, and they saw a head hanging out of the bell. And of course they all screamed and ran, and they went and told their mom. And so then they found their brother, and she yelled at him, and she's like, don't scare them. And he's like, I didn't do it, I wasn't doing that. And it's like, again, it's one of those things, like I was like my cousin Kevin, how the fuck did he get down there? How did he get upstairs so quick? How could it have been him? How could this kid have climbed into a bell and hung upside down without making any noise? Because it's like, you're in a bell, you're probably gonna like hit it,
yeah.
And how do you, I'm sorry, but you're a kid, you're not that strong, you're gonna hold yourself inside the bell and not fall into the tower.
Yeah.
So and then my grandma said that later they heard stories about a ghost that was wandering around the area, like people would see it on the road at night without a head.
Okay.
And I think this might even be like an urban legend too, like people are like, oh yeah, some sort of ghost without a head, but it would walk around. It was a native ghost, so I mean that's why they thought, oh, it looked kind of like her brother, but I'm inclined to believe that head belonged to a native gentleman who was no longer with us. So,
Did your neighborhood have like a haunted house?
I don't think so. I don't think so. I feel like my grandma's houses were just creepy.
Yeah.
Like even my other grandma, my mom's mother, had a furnished basement, but that thing was still creepy. I was like, there's shit down here. I know it. But a haunted house in my neighborhood? Nope. No, we didn't have anything like that.
I don't think we had an official haunted house, but me and my friends made it look like we did because it was just this abandoned house that obviously had been rusted over and looking all decrepit, and it was huge. So we were like, bam, that's our town haunted house, done. But we never heard any like stories or anything by it, so it was just like whatever. But yeah, that was my childhood. We just made up shit. So
Y'all just bored. You ain't got nothing to do.
yeah.
All right. Well, I think it's that time of the night where we get to some bitch really action.
All right. I have a bitch really that comes from the 2013 Evil Dead remake. Anybody who hasn't seen this, go see it. It's actually a lot of fun. It's one of those reboots that actually, I don't know if it surpassed, well, for me it surpassed the original, but a lot of people are very like on the original, but I love this new version. I thought it was great.
I think that it like pays homage to the original, but the originals were very campy. This one is not campy.
It's not, and they twisted the story by still giving you the same theme and everything. They just twisted it a little bit, and their advertising was perfect. So this is a simple bitch really, but it's just one of those old-time favorites that everybody seems to still can't learn not to do. And that's read from a text that you have no business reading from. Now, obviously this has been done a couple of times. Why I picked this particular douche, his name is Eric. This man had so many reasons not to read from this book. And he went through obstacles to do it. First off, the book is wrapped in plastic. On top of the plastic is barbed wire.
Yeah.
I have never seen a book wrapped up in barbed wire. The only thing I can think of that was wrapped up that tight was the Jumanji board.
Yeah, but even you can get into that pretty
Exactly.
easily.
He opens up the barbed wire. I mean, first of all, he had to find some bolt cutters to get the barbed wire open. Opens the plastic. He sees a book made out of skin. Nope, I'm still reading it. He goes into the book. He's got plenty of messages saying, don't look at this book. Leave this book alone. All these other like messed up messages. I'm going to claw out my skull. All of this stuff. Oh yeah, while he's turning the pages, let's get a paper cut and just drop a shit ton of blood on the pages, which I'm sure is a step.
Yeah.
And I don't know what vitamins he eats in the morning, but I don't know how paper cut got all that blood out of his finger. I was like, that's a lot for a paper cut. But anyways, it's not like the text was visible. It was scribbled out in the page. But what does this fucker do? He starts getting all Sherlock on it, takes another piece of paper, and scribbles on it with another pencil to shape out the language text that needs to be read. And he not only does he read it to himself, he's not reading it to anyone. He's by himself. He reads it out loud.
Right.
And there you have it. I was laughing so hard at this movie because I know they needed a reason to bring the spirit about, otherwise the movie would be over. But what the fuck? Like
he went so far out of his way. Yeah, this isn't even like a bitch really. This is just a what the fuck. Yeah. Like he went so far out of his way, had so much invested in this for some reason. Like, are you really that bored? Like, nobody asked you to come for this drug detox, sir. You could have just stayed where your ass was.
I think it was a huge slap in the face, or just mocking the fact that it was so easy for some dumb teen to read from the book. But they had this man go through so many steps to do the same thing, and I just found that to be so hilarious. So hilarious.
So stupid.
So that is our bitch really of the week. Eric, you dumbass, you just... And that, he got the worst of it, didn't he? I mean, look, homegirl getting raped by the tree.
That's always very unpleasant.
that is. But I mean, this man
and
went
the
through
thing with the electric knife. I mean, and everyone's just
But
using
he
that
had
electric.
the nail gun. He got shot a couple
He did-
times. Didn't he lose a limb? Like he went through, and he's
I mean,
still
wasn't it
alive.
deserved?
Didn't he? Kept coming back. He was never dead. He took like so many shots in the head with the nail, and he was still alive. Like,
I don't know.
oh, he got the. It was gross. But anyways, one last thing. Just want to announce that next week is all about witches. We're gonna spend our episode talking about our favorite witches and maybe talk one or two movies involving witches and just get down to the nitty gritty of what makes witches so fun to watch. Because
And also terrifying.
me and Nate love witch movies. We love witches and mythology. It's just fun to like watch. Keep a lookout for that next week. And there is this contest that's going on in, I believe it's Canada right now. And it's called 15 Seconds of Horror. And basically they just want you to film 15 seconds and try and scare the crap out of them, or just use some horror themed video. And Nate and I decided to enter. I came up with the concept, and Nate filmed it all and does all that technical stuff and helped me film it as well. So go to YouTube, watch it, give it some love, like, dislike, we don't care, comment on it.
I care. Don't dislike that shit. I'll come for you.
Yeah, we're gonna enter this into the contest. It's due on October 15th, but we'll have this episode. We'll have this video out for you guys to look at before, and cross your fingers. Maybe we'll be top 10 somewhere in there and see what happens. But yeah, I'm really excited by this. I actually just had a dream about this concept, and I woke up and I wrote it down, and I told Nate the next time I saw him, and he said that he really liked it. So we filmed it, and hopefully you guys will like it too.
Hopefully.
All right, well, thank you guys for listening, and remember to comment and rate our episode. Tell us what you thought. Give us any suggestions on upcoming episodes that you'd like to see. Any stories that we may have wished or read. Sorry we couldn't get to every story that was sent in, but we really appreciate you guys participating and hope you guys enjoy the episode.
And we'll catch you next time on Bitch I Ain't Scared with my honey tone voice.